Welcome. We're going to potentially ruin this old vase. This is what it looks like before. Let's see what we can do with it. It's finished. You want to see it? It's kind of neat. Look at that. Beautiful. In case you're curious, the price tag, $3.99. All right. So what I've done is I polished up this old vase, as you've seen, and it had a pretty nice oxide layer on it. But now it's all removed and quite shiny. However, the contrast between the flower pattern, and I don't know how well you can see that, the flower and leaf pattern on there, the contrast between that and the top is not all that in a bag of potato chips. So I ran a little test after doing some research online, and it turns out a vinegar and salt solution will be able to tarnish your metal. So I took 2 pieces of brass that I had from casting, and I polished them both up. And this is the untreated one, minus that little bit of bluing on the top there. And this is the treated brass with this vinegar salt solution. And when I treated these, I had them sitting flat on their back, so not the side you're seeing, but the other side. And you can see that this side has a very high amount of oxide layer building up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this vase, which is all polished and shiny, and right here in the mug, this is not water nor coffee. This is vinegar and a shit ton of salt. And so I'm going to paint it onto the vase maybe 1 to 2, 3 times today. Let it sit for a while and see what happens. So let's get to it. I'm gonna grab a towel. Okay, I had a thought while doing that, and my thought was, when the bottom here was sitting on its back for so long, it really oxidized and gave it a good coating. And that's because it was laying on a towel on a table, and it was able to trap some of that moisture, I think, inside of the metal crystals, and, you know, the porous material. So I'm thinking, what if we simulated that over the whole vase?
Okay, so I'd like to explain further what I meant by having the metal in constant contact with this vinegar solution, how that affects the oxidation to build up. So first, let's describe the metal when you just paintbrush on this vinegar solution. So here's our metal. Zoom really far in, and it's got a rough surface. Even to the eye, it looks flat. If you zoom in really far, it's going to have a rough surface. This is because in all of these peaks, there's going to be crystal structures, and there's going to be like fractures or just incomplete crystals in these crevices here. So let me just get rid of that. So what we did with the vinegar when we paintbrush it on, and hopefully this blue works, is we just paint it right along the top. And due to the surface tension of the water, it's not going to flow all the way down into these crevices. These are going to stay mostly dry. And what you're going to see is a tarnished version on the tips of these peaks. And these crevices are going to stay mostly not affected by the solution. But it's still going to be tarnished. It's just not the overall surface area. So if we go and we look at like the total surface area, and I'm just making up these numbers, in like a triangle, right? We're going to have a surface area that is, well, this is not included in our surface area, but these two sides are. Now let's say, for example, we have that triangle, and I'm just going to keep it without the bottom for now. And all we're talking about is this peak area right here. That's all that's covered. Well, these two sides, I'm betting, are going to at least make up half, if not more than that, of the total surface area of all of that triangle. Now, if we explain that over top of the whole surface of the object, that would mean that over half of the object is actually not being affected by this vinegar and salt brine. So let me erase here and get a clean slate. What we're doing and what was discovered by letting it sit on a towel upside down, or so it was constantly in contact. I'm just going to draw our original structure. That's our metal surface. Now, instead of having the vinegar and salt brine just on the peaks, the towel is really pushing, or, well, I guess here's the towel. Let's make the towel red for fun. Okay, a towel kind of looks like it's flat, right? But it's got all those strands that give it that soft feeling when you put it against your skin. It's really fluffy, right? And if that is absorbing all that brine, it's going to be synonymous with the brine, so that the towel is equivalent to brine when you're talking about like the effect that it'll have. So if the towel is touching the metal, it's going to have the same effect that if only the brine was touching the metal, because the brine's doing the most of the work in creating this oxide. So if I get rid of these, so I'm going to explain this without drawing the towel, but in reality, the towel is there. I'm just going to use blue as where the brine effectiveness is going to reach. So because of that towel having a fluffy feeling and being able to, well, really the towel has a greater surface area than water could have because the water has surface tension, is my theory. Now the brine will be able to reach, because it's so fluffy, down farther into these crevices. I'm being lazy here. So maybe there are points way down in these crevices. Oh, well. Maybe there are points way down in these crevices where the brine can't reach. But if we draw our triangle again, and I'm going to draw it without the bottom, we will see what I would suspect, that the brine will touch a majority of the triangle and only leave these two small sections, maybe in the crevices, like right here and right here, that are in contact. So that my assumption would be that using a constant contact with the brass would create greater, this is towel is greater than just brine. Yes, this is towel plus brine. There. Ta-da.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some plastic wrap and lay it down on the table here. And I don't want this to be completely soaked, but I do want it to retain some moisture, hence the plastic. This is just a little bit of paper towel that covers the whole vase. And I know you can't see this very well, but it covers the whole vase. So I'm going to take this and just kind of dabble it on so it is moist but not completely drenched. And I'm looking for all of the paper towel to be wet, so there's no pockets that get less oxidized than others, though that might give it a little bit more of a natural look. I don't want it to be so big that it looks like it was a failure in processing. So that should be good enough. And starting now, I'm gonna take it, and let me get these edges a little bit more. And I'm gonna just put this paper towel right, and it's soaked. It's soaked, it's soaked. Right over top. Making sure it really makes contact. And then just roll it right up. No more shiny base, just paper towel. And then I'm gonna take this plastic wrap, and in my best attempt, I'm going to roll this thing up so that the paper towel is being held to the vase. And I did that thin coat before, which should mean that the vase already had a good coating of liquid. But this should ensure that it stays coated. And then I'm just going to take a couple small pieces and make sure the ends are done up well to really trap in all the moisture that's in here. There we are. I did not watch a video to see how this will work, so we will see ourselves how well this possibly ruins the vase. But I will say it seems a little confusing. I just polished up this antique looking vase just to make it antique looking again. And in my defense, there was paint in the vase, in the crevices, and some like glue and gunk. That really needed to be removed, and that was the most efficient process to begin with. Plus, it's gonna make a good TikTok, so can you blame me? Let's see how this turns out. I think I might give it a good day. I'll open it tomorrow morning, and we'll see how she looks. All right. It's kind of blotchy.
I don't think that's a problem. The inside really got it.
Yeah.
It looks more gold. Does it not?
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Scooter likes it.
I'm just gonna let it dry.
Okay. And
Yeah. It's kind of neat looking.